Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of Moohead Radio. I am your host, a big and furry bovine. It is more than a job that I'm here for. I'm here to try to dispel the myth from the reality in the Cleveland, Northeast Ohio sports situation.
Good luck with that.
I know. Hey, I've been doing it a long time, and I'm not about to change and turn into a commercial entity.
It's gotten worse, though.
Yeah, I mean,
Would it be even worse if you hadn't been doing it for 27 years, or it's hard to say, really, isn't it?
I've been exposed to such bullshit. I am just totally, I have no bullshit allergies now because my body has become accustomed to all of the bullshit that is being just spewed out by the Cleveland sports media that I am unmoved.
You've been inoculated.
That's true. I think that's true. I got to start the show with an incredible story.
How incredible is it?
I got to be honest with you. I want to, first of all, I want to let everybody know that I am wearing a hearing aid. I got a hearing aid because years and years and years of, I guess the way I would put it, torturing my ears with headsets and all kinds of things that, and plus getting popped in the ear by a tennis ball, and you might hear it squealing. I just got this, and they've just tweaked it a second time, and so it's been a lot of fun for me because I've heard at least 6 people when I'm walking my dog in the neighborhood under their breath say, "Fat fuck." It really is moving. The story I wanted to tell you is got to be the worst hire and the worst result from a hire based upon college sports' new great way of bringing in players and bringing in coaches and all of that.
Okay.
The men's basketball program at California State University, Bakersfield. Now, maybe Buck Owens' grandson went there. To be very honest with you, I've never heard of California State University, Bakersfield before, but we know where it's located. They are the last place team in the Big West Conference. They're terrible. All right.
Big West. Wow, I've never heard of that.
Yep. Cal State Bakersfield athletic department has been in upheavals since August the 29th, when then men's basketball coach Rod Barnes opened an anonymous email from a tipster who alleged that Barnes' temporary assistant coach, Kevin Mays, was also working as a pimp across 4 states. Other lawsuits, internal investigations, dismissals, and finger pointing have only served to deepen the department's sense of crisis. In the email, the tipster identified a woman whom Mays allegedly had trafficked for several months. "Fix it or the whole staff will fall," the tipster wrote in all caps, adding that the email was a first and final warning.
Wow, that's the Mann Act, isn't it? Remember that? The Mann Act?
I mean,
Jerry Lee Lewis and all that.
Meanwhile, he's being held, Mays, without bail, faces a hefty rap sheet of 11 criminal and misdemeanor charges, including felonies and pimping. He was also charged with possession of automatic firearms and high-capacity magazines, possession of methamphetamine and marijuana with intent to sell. Now, you're saying to yourself, how could this possibly get worse? Now, separate charges have cited him, I should say, for possession of more than 600 images of youth or child pornography and distribution of obscene matter involving someone under 18 years of age. Mays has pleaded not guilty with an explanation. I mean, what, I, I like, I'm holding my big cow head and I'm saying, you're trying to tell me that none of this, I mean, did they even research this guy? Needless to say, that the coach was fired, the whole university was fired, they set the campus on fire. And that's what they'll be known for, Cal State Bakersfield, for the rest of their athletic life. But there's more. Fired Michigan coach Sharon Moore pleads no contest. Well, what do you know? He agreed to a deal on Friday that resulted in him pleading no contest to 2 new misdemeanor charges in exchange for the dropping of a previous felony count and 2 separate misdemeanors. You know the story. It happened back in December.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, he had his moment. Yeah.
He indeed did, and he can just go fuck himself.
Oh, dear.
I know. That's also something to do if you don't have anything better to do. If you get ESPN2 tonight at 9:00, you can watch one of my alma maters that I didn't graduate from.
UMass or
no, Miami of Ohio. Yep,
Miami of Ohio,
which is now known as the University of Miami University in Ohio, or the Miami Red Hawks. But they weren't the Red Hawks when I was there. Okay, they were the Redskins, and they had to change that. You see, so now they're the Red Hawks, and now Hawks are suing them.
Exactly.
And so
Cooties.
They're gonna go for 31-0 this year.
31-0.
I mean, they've been undefeated, and this is their last game of the season. They've already won the MAC, and they're going to be playing the University of Toledo. And the game will be played in Toledo, which is a great town to get weighed in.
Correct.
Yep, that would mean that they would be 31-0. The thing that's amazing is you think that people could just say, hey, that's pretty impressive. Any school that goes 31-0. I mean, the odds of college kids being able to withstand an entire season going
show up
undefeated.
an entire season and perform every game. Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm wrong about this. They beat Toledo and to go 30-0. So now they're going to end up playing Ohio University in Athens, right? Yeah. So that's always, and they're a 15-15 team, but they have every reason to try to ruin Miami's season. So
who's their big rival? I mean, who's their rivalry team?
Who? Miami University?
Yeah, exactly.
It's really hard to say. Back when I went there, they were, I mean, really, Ohio University was really a hated adversary.
Right.
And part of the reason was they were on the other side of the state. And it was, I mean, Ohio University in Athens, I mean, it's the middle of nowhere, to tell you the truth. Not that Miami University is in the middle of, but it's close enough to Dayton, close enough to Cincinnati. We used to look at Ohio University as being a hick school, and in a non-serious school where people just got drunk.
Isn't that pretty much every college in Ohio?
Well, there was nothing else to do there. The point is you just stayed right there and you just got slathered, and that was.
I mean, have you ever been to Bowling Green, for God's sakes?
Well, Bowling Green was the ultimate party school. That was the other one that was like, my God. I mean, it's like, what are you going to do? I want to go to Toledo. No, you're going to sit back and get drunk. That's what you're going to do there.
Wow. I had the best pizza in my life off of Bowling Green's campus about 45 years ago.
Wow.
It was very good. I still remember it vaguely.
Yeah. But here's the thing about Miami. I mean, the Red Hawks have one of the best offenses in the country. They average in college 90.3 points per game. and they're first in field goal percentage at 52.6 average for 30. I know.
Damn, that's like Sam Merrill.
And Miami is favored, if you're going to bet because you're a gambling disease person, a minus 5.5 point spread. But the thing is that they have the leading scorer on the team. This is strange when you're averaging 90.3 points a game. It's usually there's one guy who's like unbelievably good,
Yeah.
It was like when Wally Zerbiak played at Miami University, right? I mean, there'd be one guy. When I went there, we had Randy Ayers, we had Archie Aldridge, we had John Shoemaker, so we were a little bit more spread out. But this team, ridiculous. Peter Suter is the leading scorer in the team with 14.8 points a game. That's all. They have 7 guys averaging double figures. I mean, that is really unusual for a team to be going for an undefeated season. But the thing that really makes it ridiculous is that there are people actually bitching about it, as if they just can't shut the fuck up.
Wow.
Bruce Pearl, who was a coach at Auburn, he said, if we're selecting the best 68 teams, then Miami of Ohio is going to have to win their tournament to qualify as a champion, because at an at-large, they are not one of the best teams in the country. It's you're going to show me a team that's 31-0 and then ends up losing if they do lose in the tournament afterwards, and they're going to be 33-1 perhaps and not make it. That's what Bruce Pearl is saying. And they should be a lock for this. They really should be. But you can watch at 9:00 on ESPN2. See if I think that would make them like the 31st team, maybe, or something like that to go undefeated. To go undefeated 9:00 tonight on ESPN2. Yeah,
I'm just having a look to see whether it's on my DAZN service here in England, which would be 2 a.m.
Look at Sky Sports. Maybe Sky Sports will pick it up.
No, it'd be on DAZN because they do college.
Okay. Well, it might be. So I thought that's interesting that's just around the corner. The other thing I wanted to share with you from a perspective of what I'm going to be talking about next, which is about the NBA, is that it's really my ardent belief that the NBA is completely fixed, and that the thing is just as scripted could be. And some of the things that you're seeing happening in the league are really not particularly believable. This is and what I'm going to put up here is a video that just dropped yesterday. And if you remember Jeremy Lin, Linsanity guy from New York,
about 10 years ago now.
Yeah. But he played in a couple of NBA cities. He played in Charlotte. He played, I don't know where all he played by the time he was done. He's just getting ready to retire, and he's been playing like in China or somewhere. I mean, China. Yeah. So what this will do is let's see if we can
it's not on. But we do have Minnesota and Ohio State women's basketball. That's
all right.
on now.
Here we go. Here's Jeremy Lin confirming that the NBA is rigged. Ready?
Oh.
Here we go.
So, I mean, I'm not going to name the organization because I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus, but there was one specific game where it really hit me. Was I had 20 and 10 after 3 quarters. We're up about 15 to 18. And in the fourth quarter in overtime, I didn't play 1 second. And so I'm looking at the assistant coach, watching our lead go down. I have 20 and 10 after 3 quarters. Like, I'm on pace to have a real nice game. And he goes, yeah, we got the call from above. You're done for tonight. And so I was like, what? Like, who picked up the phone? How'd y'all get on the phone in the middle of the game? And he's like, I'm like, what happened? But they got a look from somebody in the crowd was like, nah, like, so me and this other player, the other player who was doing, he had like 25 after 3 quarters. They're both like, yo, those two, they're done. And so we ended up losing in overtime. And this was against another team that was also tied for last. And they were trying to get, the best projection and the odds to get the number 1 pick. So, I mean,
so there. When teams are ordering the coaches' teams to take players off the floor,
Wow.
And when they have a chance to win against another losing team, then if they're doing that themselves, and I suppose we've seen it happening more and more in the last 2 years, and now the NBA is trying to address this. You're foolish to think that there aren't other things that are going on that are equally questionable from the league's perspective and not just the team's perspective. And a lot of people are talking right now after the Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Detroit Pistons and still weren't at full strength, did so without Donovan Mitchell, but with the Pistons at full strength and kind of bolstering the thought that we're a better basketball team than they are, predicated on the fact that they came back to last night and lost again. We've seen JB Bickerstaff's teams, the wheels fall off at the end of seasons.
Oh God. Yeah.
Because he overplays the minutes. And, against Cleveland, Cade Cunningham was really ineffective, and he was ineffective again just the other night. And, so losing 2 games in a row hasn't really happened to the Pistons. And I think that what you're going to find is that the Pistons are going to piss off, that they're going to make the playoffs, obviously, and they're going to be in a pretty good position. But the team that I'm seeing out there reminds me so much of JB Bickerstaff's fingerprints that we know how it fails in the end. He's got these guys ramped up to play vicious defense, but they don't have 3-point scorers, and they have one guy who ends up getting played way too many minutes. Now, if this reminds you of Donovan Mitchell in Cleveland, and Cade Cunningham in Detroit, and now Cade Cunningham is suddenly slowing down, and he was noticeably passing the ball off against the Cavaliers and in his last game as well. He was not attacking the basket the way that SGA would be doing it in Oklahoma City.
Oh, yeah, he looked dead the other night, man.
Yeah, I mean, and this is JB Bickerstaff, and there's Bickerstaff doing his madman stomps on the sidelines. When this goes down and Detroit loses in the first round of the playoffs, do not be surprised.
Oh God, yeah, I'm right with you on all that. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and thank you very much. This is what I consider to be, I do appreciate you coming by. I mean, really, that's very, very well done. So we have some interesting people in the chat room. So I guess my belief is there's a greater plan, and it's not the Detroit Pistons, and it's not the Cleveland Cavaliers either, by the way. They don't really care about Detroit and Cleveland. And right now you have a defending NBA championship team in Oklahoma City, and that's who they're putting their money on with SGA. And you can tell because SGA now, I don't know if you see what he's wearing. He's wearing these fur coats all over the place. It's really weird looking shit. And the guy's walking around like he's a movie star. And on the court, he literally is shoving people in order to get his shots off. And they're not calling a goddamn thing on him. And you can see the same thing happen to Jokic, who's just fucking around and throwing people on the ground and they're ignoring it. So you know where the West is going for the final two games. And in the East, what I'm going to tell you today, because it's more of our interest, is that it's not going to be the Pistons in the finals. And because they're not good enough. They're not even good enough to beat the Cavaliers, who are short man. The press is saying, we believe, though, that a Detroit Cleveland playoff situation would go 6 or 7 games. And I'm saying it's irrelevant what you think, because that's not what's going to happen. Stop and think what the script is. Guess who's coming back to Boston?
Boston now? Celtics. I was just going to say Jason Tatum is being ballyhooed all over the place. So he's going to play his first game.
And they're in second place, and the Pistons are starting to lose. And that's who's going to end up number one in the East.
Number one with the bullet.
With
Casey Kasem.
with certainty. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how do you make this so that the script is ideal for the NBA? The Cavaliers will finish 4th and have to play Boston in the first round and lose to Boston in the first round. That way they can keep the bullshit going. Cavaliers can't get out of the first round. And you're going to start hearing that retarded talk again. All right. So that would leave the Pistons and the Knicks. Yeah. And, honestly, I'm watching the Knicks and I'm like, but it's New York and Boston. And there's nothing good happening in the East. Let's be honest. Indiana shot itself in the foot with 87 injuries, and they've been tanking ever since.
Yeah.
And they're nowhere. And there's nobody who really conjures great imagination. So they're going back into the past. It's Tommy Heinsohn, and here I am. I'm back to life again for yet a 42nd time. And I want to say this, and take it from somebody who knows, a white man. I don't know what all this is that I'm seeing on television. All of these African American announcers listen to a white Catholic Irish guy from Boston. It's going to be us and the Knicks. And that's going to be the final, and the Celtics will reign supreme. And that's what's going to happen. And they're going to lose to OKC anyway, or maybe they'll give it to Boston because they're a bunch of Catholic white guys. I don't, I'm so sick of the NBA and the script. I'm so sick of it that, the only reason the Cavaliers ever won anything was LeBron James, because they had to acknowledge he was the ticket, even though they were holding their nose about Cleveland, because
they injured our players in every single fucking finals. I mean,
to the NBA, and Cleveland's a cesspool. To the NBA, they don't care. No players. I want to go to Cleveland. The only time that happened was when LeBron James was here. You don't hear people jumping up and down going, I can't wait to play with Donovan Mitchell. I can't wait for that. Nobody wants to be there. The only one who wanted to be there was like James Harden to try it one more time to see if he can get a championship. That's what it amounts to. And it's one and done. You'll see his interest wane when the thing goes wrong again. But the reason the thing will go wrong has nothing to do with the way the Cavaliers are put together and all the things that I talk about, which are nuances, which are strategy on the part of the coach, or the lack of desire by this player or that player. That has nothing to do with it. What has everything to do with it is what is dictated from the top. And if you end up with a Cleveland Cavalier team in the NBA Finals, that they've done everything they could. I mean, they've humiliated Donovan Mitchell. It's like, no, you're not a starter in the All-Star game. Get the fuck out of here. You're in Cleveland. Or as Topaz would say, oh, you're in Cleveland, and I'm a dog. just the way it is. So don't get your hopes up. But what I will say about the Cleveland Cavaliers is this. They made the best moves that they could. They were strapped, the whole second apron thing. I mean, it really economically strapped what the Cavaliers were able to do. But I thought that they did really well by getting what they got. And, Keon Ellis is good. And then there was the addition by subtraction. Didn't need sad sack, DeAndre Hunter on the team. And he hasn't played anyway because his one of his eyeballs fell out. And then, the Darius Garland thing for Harden. And Harden is not the same Harden that he was. He's clever. He's crafty. But you can see there's some flatness on his shot. He is not necessarily going to be, let's just put it this way. Yeah, you can look at his career and you can say this guy was a superstar, but he's not a superstar anymore. And the NBA doesn't give a shit about him, and they're not calling fouls for him like they do SGA, who literally brings bombs into buildings and kills people, and he gets away with it. And now they're calling charges that they should have been calling 10 years ago against James Harden. It's an unequal kind of thing. So, but I will say this: Keon Ellis has done a great job. I was going to talk about Schroeder. Schroeder is not exactly my favorite guy. I think you've seen it.
He had the best plus minus the other night. You're going after him, aren't you?
It's not just a matter of going after him. It's that, when you're up by a few points in the end of a game, you don't play fucking dribble queen. Let's get real about this. There's a reason why 5 men are on the floor. And if you start trying to dribble through 4 of them and you get the ball taken away from you twice in a row, and even in a winning game, it's unacceptable. That's not what you need. He's supposed to be a 32-year-old veteran who knows better than that. And it's not the first time he's done it. He tends to really become ball hoggish, dribbling the ball. There's way too much dribbling and not enough passing. The Cleveland Cavaliers will be most effective if they would just be passing the ball around the perimeter, playing to their strengths. Because what we're seeing right now is that Sam Merrill isn't able to get his shots off consistently. And the reason is because dribble. It's, James Harden out there with his left hand dribbling. And then they run a single screen and then he'll throw the pick and roll into Jared Allen or whatever. But there isn't that rapid fire around the horn kind of thing that gets open 3-point shots. It's not happening. And you can throw the ball all you want to off a screen to Jared Allen, and yes, he can shoot 68-72% if you can get it to him 5 feet away from the basket in the lane. But the fact is, good teams aren't going to let you do that. And second of all, if other teams are shooting and making upwards of 13 to 15 3-point shots against you every night, and you're just scoring twos, and you're down 13 to 15 points. And this team was built on the idea that they had range shooters, that they had people who could put the ball in from behind the arc. So I see that as a problem. I see as a problem for the Cavaliers that for whatever reason, I think CPJ does a lot of good things on the floor, but his confidence in his shot has kind of gone away. And they got to keep playing him minutes. And I don't know if you saw that Proctor went down. They sent him to the charge for a game. Yeah. He scored 29 points. He doesn't belong down there. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that this Cavaliers team is a championship run team. I don't think that they're going to be in the NBA Finals. I don't think they're going to go deep into the playoffs. I think they're an entertaining team to watch. I give all the credit in the world to the ownership and to the people who are drafting and getting utility out of players that they've drafted lower in the draft. And I give them a lot of credit. But I think there's so much working against them and they have to spend an inordinate amount of money to try to keep up and be competitive. When you're not catching a break for the league, you're not gonna win. And it's too bad. The fans should just stop bitching and enjoy the fact that your team last year won, what was it, 64 games, and that this year you're going to be in the playoffs, because there are so many teams in the NBA who were never in the playoffs, and you could be watching one of those. So shut the fuck up,
Go
and
fuck yourself.
Yeah, it's like, this is wonderful to have a team that is at least talked about some, at least that has a chance to win any night that they're on the floor. And it is disappointing when push comes to shove and teams are allowed luxuries against the Cavaliers that that other teams are not allowed.
All right. Well, Sunday is the big Gilly bow tie afternoon game with the Celtics on national TV. And
that's a setup if there ever was one.
International TV as well. So and it will be 1 hour earlier because you guys are putting your clocks ahead. So it'll be daylight when this game finishes almost here. And yeah, so you think the refs are going to rig it for the away Celtics? I think they want
they got to get the Celtics in first place. They got to get them in first place.
That's true, and I'm agreeing with that, but I think they're going to make the story a bit more interesting. I think if a team goes out on Sunday and jumps out to a big lead, I think they will get no calls whatsoever, and the other team will come back, and it will be a close game going into overtime, and then it will be whoever the referees decide, probably Boston. So I'm predicting 121 to 120, Boston winning.
And I guess what I predict is, in the end, disappointment for fans in Cleveland, because there's just there's nothing from up high that wants them to win, and it's annoying. And this whole thing with Jason Tatum, and it's like, well, we're going to work him in, we're going to do this. He's not really in great shape yet, but it's like, all the Boston fans. He's back. And the Boston Garden will be they'll be going crazy, and
Although the thing that kills me is all the white people in the crowd wearing those "Pritch Please" T-shirts. Have you seen that?
No.
Instead of "Bitch Please," it says "Pritch" for Paul Pritchard.
Yeah. I wouldn't even know who the hell Paul Pritchard. He's a white guy. I'm telling you, they always love the white players, and every black player who's ever played in Boston, including the great Bill Russell, he put up with shit. Do you remember what Mo Vaughn put up with in Boston?
Oh, God.
Holy fucking shit. They don't like black athletes, and now they'll accept championships that they win, but they'll somehow come up with Paul Pritchard.
Paul Pritchard's the hero, yeah.
Yeah. God almighty. Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult for the Cavaliers. These next couple of games, they're playing a bunch of good teams, and then for the rest of the year, they're playing no team that's in the top 6 of either conference.
Numpties that they're playing after this week.
So, I think the Cavaliers will maintain their number 4 seed, so that they can get knocked out in the first round against Boston. I really honestly believe that, because it's what the league wants. And, it's same old Browns. That's what they want from Cleveland. And when we gave him something different, like the whole league had to bow down to LeBron James because he whipped his dick out and pissed all over Michael Jordan, and nobody wanted to hear about that.
Yep.
But the greatest player in the history of basketball played in Cleveland, Ohio, wanted to play in Cleveland, Ohio, grew up outside Cleveland, Ohio, came back to Cleveland, Ohio, and, came back and won a championship in Cleveland, Ohio. They couldn't handle that. So they just rode with it. They held their nose and they said, it'll be over soon enough. And sure enough, it was. But no, I did get the opportunity to see that that Darius Garland is up and playing in Los Angeles, and I wish him nothing but the best. Nothing but the best. I mean, he scored 14, 15 points. And coming back, he's not starting yet, but they're controlling his minutes because of his foot. And it'll probably be a better situation for him in Los Angeles just because there are no expectations there. And, he can go surfing at the end of the season and not work out again. So
he can like hang 4 over his surfboard as opposed to hanging 5 because he only has 4 toes.
Thank you.
When you have to explain the jokes, they're not that good.
No, but at least you got a snicker out of me. And snicker satisfies, I have nothing against Darius Garland whatsoever. I just don't think he's a hard worker as far as what he puts in physically for his body.
He's probably in a better place with Ty Lue, who can like put his arm around him and feel sorry for him and do all that guard whispering. So yeah, whatever.
So I thought it was interesting that while we talk about things, let's give the Cavs credit for doing what they had to do. They helped shore up their defense, and that really showed against the Pistons. Yeah. I mean, with Keon Ellis out there, and really hounding the ball, and we still haven't seen all the players that we have availability for, out on the floor. By the way, Max Strus allegedly practiced 90% at 90%. Now, I really believe that because of the type of game that Max Strus plays, which has always been nonstop motion, he and Sam Merrill are very similar in one regard, that they just run and run and run and run. But with coming off a Jones fracture, I could see him after 2 weeks just hanging it up and saying he's got to get a second surgery. I would not at all be surprised to see that happen. And I wouldn't say it's part of a Cleveland curse or anything, but a Jones fracture shouldn't have taken this long for him to even heal from. And it reminds me of Kevin Durant when he had a Jones fracture and he tried to come back and they yanked him after a couple of games and he went back and had a procedure done over again. The reason it's so difficult is they have to insert screws, and that part of the foot, for some athletes, the way that they're built and the demands that are put on that part of their body, it has to be reinforced in such a way, and they have to do the procedure a second time. I would not be surprised. Ron Shane is asking a legitimate question. Will Donovan Mitchell be playing on Sunday? All signs point to yes. That he was
so like the Magic 8-Ball when you talk like that.
Yeah, my sources say no.
Ask again later.
The fucking 8-Ball isn't working. Stop shaking me.
Moo, the Magic 8-Ball.
God.
You should get one of those. They still sell those. I had one.
They do in the hood.
They still sell
Magic 8-Balls.
Wow. We have a snake charmer in the chat. I don't know whether you saw the news about Amsterdam and him wrangling a snake outside of his house in Florida.
Was he masturbating?
No, there was a escaped snake and he captured it.
Oh, I thought it had escaped from his pants.
No.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. But I give the Cavaliers credit. I mean, it's like they wanted DeAndre Hunter to be a certain kind of force, not a sixth man. And he proved he couldn't be a starter and he couldn't get his defensive chops back when he wasn't getting a certain number of shots. He was the wrong guy for the wrong situation. And he's better off playing when he does play in a place where he can get his shots. There's no pressure of winning or anything like that. He'll be just like he was in Atlanta, and everybody will be happy. But Schroeder, and I'm not going to say that it was a bad thing because, quite honestly, they're not ready in the stretch when you're going into the playoffs, for God's sakes, and it gets tight in the final 2 minutes of games, and it will. If the Cavaliers defense continues to play well, there will be close games like the ones we saw with the Pistons. It'll be tight. And same thing with the Knicks. These teams do not have the kind of breakaway offensive capabilities that some teams in the West have. And they will have certain runs, but it isn't relentless pressure. The Knicks are a half-court team. Karl Anthony Towns is a steam engine that goes slowly up and down the floor. And, I don't, and Brunson needs half-court to set up his game. So there's going to be close games, no matter who we play in the playoffs in the East, because Detroit's the same way. They're not going to beat you very much with three-point shooting. They're going to beat you with physicality. I'm happy that Kenny has decided to play Thomas Bryant a bit more to get a little bit more hype.
Oh, I love him. I think he's awesome for what he is.
Exactly.
For what he is and what he does. I mean,
he stretches the floor. He can stretch the floor with the three, and he can give height. He can give a little energy. He's not the best player on the floor. But
he can mix it up though with the other team, man. He doesn't take any shit from anybody.
No, and knowing that we have a problem that Jared Allen can come up hurt or Evan Mobley can pull a muscle or whatever. Having that extra big guy coming in, it means that Naquan Tomlin's not going to play much anymore. Which is fine by me because he's not ready for what lies ahead.
I tell you, I was surprised by something. I'll bring this up. I saw that Olivier Sarr was signed to a two-way contract. Now, he's a center from France who I believe is under, and he's halfway decent for a two-way player. He's got to be like one of the best two-way players out there, and he's he can come in and. If Mobley or Allen get hurt, like they always seem to do when we really need them the most, he could be a guy on the bench that takes up 10 minutes or something. He's halfway decent, And I'm not going to go out and buy a Schroeder jersey, but I'm going to stand up for him because I think he's brought a bit of life to the Cleveland backcourt.
The one thing that he does really well, that quick move to the basket and going low,
great first step,
the scoop
getting
shot
around people,
the scoop shot off the backboard, good stuff. I mean, he is a veteran. He's been around. He's just got to control himself a little bit better. And let's be honest, there's a reason why he's been on 11 different teams. I mean,
he does complain a lot.
He's bellicose
a lot on the court when you look at him funny. He thinks he's got a foul on him. So
he's got an attitude.
Probably the case, I mean, the other game, not against the other game that we lost horribly. I think against the Bucks in overtime or whatever it was. He got thrown to the side, and they called nothing on it, and they ended up challenging it, and it wasn't a foul apparently. So
I mean, to me, we have some players who can shoot the three ball, but you gotta pass the ball around, and it's one of those things when you make a deal and you go away from Darius Garland and to a 36-year-old vet. You're seeing both sides of the player. With Harden, he will play in the half court, use screens, get the ball into guys cutting back door. He's an effective passer. Sometimes he forces passes which turn into turnovers and end up in runouts, and that would be
he's very
disastrous.
ambitious with his
He-
passing,
and against a team
sometimes,
like OKC, forget about it.
yeah,
Not
that's
not
a
going to
good
work.
idea.
So you really need more perpetual motion, and I think that there's a happy medium to be found, and this is still a very new alignment for the Cavaliers. Keon Ellis is just a workhorse as far as boundless energy. He needs to find the shot that he had in Sacramento. I don't. I don't see the form that he's exhibiting being that of a 40% 3-point shooter, but we'll see. But
Well,
he's bringing effort, that's for
he-
sure.
against the Pistons, the Cavs only played 9 guys.
Right.
And the person that had the least amount of minutes was Thomas Bryant. He had 16, and he was plus 12. The person that had the most minutes was James Harden. He played for 35 minutes, had 17 shots, and only made 5 of them. So
Yep. I mean, but it
there
was
you
the
go.
same way with Cade Cunningham. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
He was 4 of 16. So Cade Cunningham was 4 of 16.
Yeah.
Harden was 5 of 17. So
that kind of a game, when you have, but the fact that we were able to hang with them without 29 points a game, Donovan Mitchell on the floor, and they were at full health, we showed that we could play defense, which is
we were playing
nice.
a lot harrying defense. I mean, we were making it hard for them, instead of making it easy. So,
and the other thing I want to say about the Pistons, and it's, I don't like JB Bickerstaff. I was the first one to be talking about this as far as agents wanting their players to leave, and poor Karis LeVert couldn't stand Karis LeVert's agent. He's back again, and he's hardly getting any playing time. And
I got his stats up here. If I had him up, but yeah,
he's a non-factor, and he's not playing many minutes, and he's not really being productive in the minutes that he's on the floor. So
he played 13 minutes in that game.
And what was his plus minus?
Minus 12.
There you go. So, I mean, he's not a good defensive player. He's got a long wingspan so he can get in passing lanes, but when it comes down to half court, bang it out kind of basketball, Karis LeVert,
he clanged 3 3-pointers.
Oh, that's the way he is. He can get hot as a pistol.
He didn't hit anything.
No. And that's kind of and that's the way it is for the whole Detroit team. Is they have guys the beginning of the first game that we had with them, they were like 6 out of 7 to start the game from 3, and then it just kind of faded from there. And Duncan Robinson, who's the biggest pussy I've ever seen in my life. I mean, Miami gave up on him, for God's sakes.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, he was bitching too. He was bitching more than Schroeder was. Man, the guy couldn't leave the refs alone in that game.
And Duncan Robinson, his idea of defense, he grabs people's uniforms. He's not getting called for it, but he will be. The fact is, they're the interesting story that the NBA is like, it's the renaissance of basketball in Detroit. And look, Detroit's no different than Cleveland. It's not exactly, the postcard place of America. And the NBA is not going to do them any favors in the long run, but they're really not that good. They've really overachieved, and I think that
they're Cinderella story, and they're about to turn into a pumpkin.
Yeah, and you can see the fatigue setting in, and when Beef Stewart is throwing up threes, they're in bad shape.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure this is a great idea for the Celtics to bring back Tatum. I have a funny feeling that he might snap his Achilles again.
It's the risk they take, and To be very honest with you, it's not like the Boston Celtics aren't a goddamn dynasty anymore. I mean, let's be real about this. They got two nice players for sure, and and they have some really good guys coming off their bench. I don't want to badmouth Boston, although I think that it's a bigoted city because I went to college very nearby and spent a lot of time in Boston. It was like, geez, Louise, the people like this all the time. And they have an inferiority complex about the city of New York as well. It's a very strange place.
Well, it's a lot like the TED program, with the talking bear. That's very Boston-y.
Yeah, and yes, Harden still has the right hand
So
taped up.
he's not 100%, is he?
No, and dribbling the ball, it's not. And maybe that's why Schroeder's trying to do it all himself at the end of games. I can't say that. But I thought it was an interesting thing reading something and the philosophy of Dan Gilbert, which is referred to as fail quickly. And what it amounts to is it's when something, it's kind of like the square box and the round hole. You try to get it in, you try to fit it in, and you come to a conclusion, this isn't working. And some teams will do slow bleeds and hold on to people. Dan Gilbert's philosophy in all of this is that if it ain't working and you do everything you know how to do and it's still not working, you got to change it.
You got to move, yeah.
And I give him credit for that because that's decisive decision making. And I mean, if you start out the season and say, who would you rather have? Would you rather have DeAndre Hunter or Keon Ellis and Schroeder? You'd be like, why would we do that?
Want that? Yeah.
But when you see in practice, when the games are being played, what's happening in reality, then it's like this isn't working. And the same thing with as much as Darius Garland gave to the city of Cleveland, and you're never going to hear me say anything bad about Darius as a person, not at all. His regimen I had a problem with. I don't think he was serious with his conditioning. But the other side of the coin is if you have him, and the whole idea is you're flying around the court and you're going to shoot up a bunch of threes. And that was the Kenny Atkinson. Yeah, where'd that come from?
He threw footballs.
Yes, he kind of. When they didn't sail. No, that was Boomer Esiason, the famous. Yeah, he was a sailor man. Yeah, but Kenny Atkinson's philosophy back then was throw up as many threes as you can, and so. I never thought that Darius and Donovan played well together, that they meshed.
Never did.
They never
ever did. No.
And the fact is that Darius could no longer close out around the rim, and Donovan was taking more shots. And I think that it just never quite worked out. And I hope Darius has a wonderful career. I have nothing bad to say about him. But the fail quickly philosophy is that you got to find complementary players. And for this Cavaliers unit, it's obvious that if you're playing in the East, you better be stout. You gotta have defense. Got to be stout.
It's like at the AFC North,
right?
You can't be a pussy and play in the Eastern Conference. You're just not going to make it,
So, I totally agree, and this was a stat that came up. If we're looking at in their time with the Cavs, okay, and these are plus minus, which is always, the smaller it is, the more, not necessarily accurate it is. But they were minus 40 with Garland, minus 20 Hunter, a plus 41 with Ellis, and a plus 46 with Schroeder since the turnaround and the trade. So my feeling is that what's happening is that Schroeder, even though he's short, he's 6'1" and 180 pounds, and it's no different than Darius Garland. But he comes with a little bit more of an attitude.
He's more athletic and he's more braver.
Yeah, and again, Schroeder was playing on a sprained ankle, so you can't question either his courage or his desire.
Absolutely.
Maybe you can question decision making, and he can be pressured. The thing again you're going to see in the playoffs is double teams stealing the ball, trying to get easy points, but that's better than having a defense like the season began, giving up 3-point shots left and right. It's very hard when you're giving up like the highest or second highest percentage of 3-point shots to your opponents night after night.
The thing we're not seeing now is Mobley dribbling the basketball for any length of time, which thank God for that, because nobody wants to see that, or nobody should want to see that.
I still don't know what happened to, free throw shooting is in your head because you should be doing that over and over and over and over again. And it's,
Well, I tell you who's gotten good is Jared Allen is the one who's been making free throws. I mean,
he does.
He used to do.
But there are a couple games there where we're not going in. The Cavaliers have a problem at the free throw line at crunch time. And it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the playoffs as well, because teams are going to get at least 10 get out of jail free cards fouling the Cleveland Cavaliers over the course of every game. And especially in critical moments of the game, they're going to be able to get away with everything from goaltending to offensive fouls to falling down to the ground, pretending like they were fouled and get the call, false replay runbacks by the officials where they somehow find a proximal thing that bails out the team that they want to win. You're going to see all of this shit.
Did you weren't watching that full access feed from ESPN in the I think it was the Bucks game where they actually had the replay center voice coming through into ESPN with the referee. And that's what they should do for every single fucking game. It should be completely transparent, where the whole viewing public sees what the referee says to the replay center, and you hear back what the replay center says back to the referee, and that would give a lot more transparency to the game and make people not think that it's fucking fixed. They do that in cricket, where they have a replay center, they have a replay referee, and he talks to the studio, and they talk back, and they sort it out, and there's never a question about a replay being fixed. So that's what the NBA should go to. But anyway,
no, I mean it's gonna play out in an interesting way. It always does. Nothing new in Cleveland. Myles Garrett again stopped for speeding, which after the story I told after the last program about the quarterback from Colorado who died in a one-car crash. It's such a waste. It is so foolish. I don't even want to get into why somebody does stuff like that.
People are young and dumb. Once they start having children, they should be more responsible. So when that starts happening, then you gotta kind of rein it in.
Now, here's another thing that makes me think that the Boston Celtics are just going to be handed the East. This is what's coming out of the NBA. The Celtics are living proof that tanking is the NBA's biggest lie. You see, the Celtics are so above it all. They could have tanked. It's like I'm trying to figure out how they would have tanked, but oh no, they're innocent, Wow. So it's somebody asking a question: will LeBron be back next season?
Do they mean James Harden?
James. Well, yeah, that's
it's a tough one.
That's interesting. That could be. I don't know. I think Harden would be back if they make a decent run this year and get beyond the first round. He might be back. LeBron James, there isn't. I don't. To me, I would say, God, should be happy to come to a championship caliber team if he's on it, or at least a playoff team, rather than just doing what Michael Jordan did and just go end up in Bolivian. Playing going into Washington.
Well, I got a question. Are all of
but for no money, he would be playing for no money.
Children out of high school yet? I mean, are they still got younger kids, or are they all at university now?
Yeah, university. The real question is how he wants to go out, and he deserves to call his shot. I don't pay any attention to LeBron James anymore. Thought the guy did great things for the city of Akron and really for Cleveland sports. It was very soul lifting watching what he did and the effort that he put in. He deserves to go out on his own terms, Well,
well, in that case, I would see him coming back to Cleveland and have him do like a farewell tour of every city in the NBA where they have a LeBron James night on every away game that he goes to next year. I could see that happening,
there's a lot of problems. The Lakers, they're going to make the playoffs. So that's another thing the NBA always seems to work out. But all is not well. I don't like JJ Redick as a coach.
He's horrible. He is like the Zach Taylor of NBA coaches. I mean,
and him sitting there arguing with Luka on the floor is like the worst thing that you could have going there. The thing about the Lakers is everybody wants to go to Los Angeles, and so they'll always have guys who are big names. They had Anthony Davis out there, and Anthony Davis ended up getting injured all the time. It's when you're trying to bring in, the idea of, well, gosh, is LeBron going to come back? He can't come back on his own terms. That's the thing with LeBron. He liked to take his talents where he took his talents. When he left for Miami, he left for Miami. When he came back to Cleveland, he came back to Cleveland. When he went out to LA, everyone knew that
LA,
yeah. Well, and business interests were calling out there as well. So business decisions are what NBA owners do. LeBron has the right to do the same thing. But again, the Lakers can't win with what they have right now. They're not a championship caliber team. No. And the question is, they wanted Luka to lose weight. He did, but
it hasn't helped.
No, he's playing with his head up his ass out there. And again, how the difference between playing, in one environment where nobody's really paying much attention to you in Dallas, and on the other hand, going to, LA where the bright lights are on you, it's a big difference. And they wanted him to do things a certain way, and now JJ Redick's ripping into his flesh. I don't know. But the money, Ron, for LeBron wouldn't mean a damn thing. The guy's, unless his ego
he may actually be a billionaire at this stage. So
yes.
I don't think a difference between 50 and 15 million would be, no big fucking deal,
Well, the other thing is, he knows his body. He knows what's happening to himself. He knows that he's slower. He doesn't jump as high. I mean, maybe it's better that he finds a team that is a winning team, that he can help the mentality of the players on the court get fair number of minutes, but not an abundance of minutes to break his body down. And let's be honest. You're looking at James Harden, who isn't exactly the Pony Express. You know what I mean?
Correct.
But he's mature.
He's guile. He's got a lot of guile. He knows when he looks slower than he actually is, probably, because he knows how to play. He's smart, and he knows what position to be at on the floor at any given time.
It was what Ferdy Pacheco, who, if you don't remember,
Muhammad Ali.
Well, that's what he was famous for. He became a commentator later on, but his comment about Muhammad Ali is he knows every way to know how to win, but he knows no way to lose. That's LeBron. LeBron brings with him an incredible amount of knowledge, and he can set up a floor. And if he knows his body can't do certain things, but his mind can, he can make a big difference. And Harden, you never know when he's going to just take the next train out of town, because in his career he's pursuing something. That's what he does. And so LeBron has to call the shot, whether his body can handle it or not. I don't know.
I could see him
knows.
playing second quarters, fourth quarters, and that's it, and maybe playing, no more than 20 minutes, between 15 and 20 minutes a game. And then you get the really best bit out of LeBron. If you watch that All-Star weekend in any way, shape, or form, and you saw how tired all the old fart All-Stars got in that that last quarter against the young All-Stars, they look absolutely dead. And LeBron was like gasping. So he can't play 30 minutes for 60 games. He could play 20 minutes for 50 games, and you still get the LeBron that's decent,
Yeah, and honestly, LeBron to the Knicks would be sweet. I don't think anything's going to save the Knicks either. The Knicks are, again, Mr. Potato Head as their coach, and a team that they're scrappy, and but Karl Anthony Towns is just a moving van. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't see him as
see him fitting in it with the Knicks.
no, I don't see that would make any sense at all. So the Browns have reworked Deshaun Watson's contract to lower their NFL high cap hit. So that's nice. It gives them a little bit more room. And
did you see Jedrick Wills is making a comeback?
Where?
Well, that's it. He took last season off, and now he's a free agent. So he's he visited a couple teams. There's an article out there somewhere. So,
and
who would sign him for anything? But
God only knows. And
he's still young. Yeah, he's still young.
And here's this. If you wonder what the NBA is all about, it's like they move pieces around the league just to try to pump a little excitement into the dead markets. And the dead markets are like the Wizards,
Yeah.
So it took a long enough period of time, but Trae Young made his dazzling debut.
I hate him. I absolutely despise Trae Young.
What's to like? I mean, he's the opposite of Dan Gilbert's kid, What's to like? Yeah, and this is incredible. It took nearly 21 minutes into Thursday's game, but Trae Young's welcome to DC moment came in spectacular fashion after receiving a pass behind the three-point line and pump faking his defender into jumping past him. Young drove to the basket, faked a behind-the-back pass to guard Leaky Black. Now, I've never heard of a guy named that, in the left corner with his right hand before switching to his left to score a scoop layup.
Ooh.
And everybody went crazy because they hadn't seen basketball all year there. But that little scrawny little insect looking fucker isn't going to help that team win. I mean, no. God, talking about a goddamn placebo. Goodness.
Wow.
Yeah. Here's another one thing to be looking at. Offensive tackle Taylor Decker wants released after 10 years with the Detroit Lions. He was our longest tenured player, and he is an offensive lineman, and he's going into his 11th season. No, I'm not saying the Browns should jump on him, but you never know what might happen. These guys, if you're going to get a bunch of young guys that you're going to draft, you got to have some older guys to teach them. And all of the older guys are not going to be there for Cleveland for the Browns next year.
They're all going out. Every single one of them is leaving.
That's right.
They're all leaving. We have no offensive line at the moment. We have this one guy that we just traded for and gave him a 3-year contract, and hopefully he doesn't do a conkling, gets hurt all 3 years, like the last time they gave a big contract to somebody. So
the last thing I want to mention was I saw an interview. It wasn't really an interview; it was a podcast appearance by Quinshon Judkins, and they were asking him, sense anything different between Monken and Stefanski, and he made an interesting comment. He said, well, he goes, playing through last year, he goes, our coach then was kind of quiet. He was quiet.
Yeah,
he goes,
quiet.
But he goes, Todd Monken, he will tell you what he's thinking, good, bad, indifferent, but he's very verbal. And, different styles can really excel in different places. Maybe Kevin Stefanski will find it easier to be his high crust New England guy who his Ivy League guy who drops F-bombs when they win games every 5 games they play, and
once a month.
Yeah, and he'll try to pretend like he's a regular guy, and the rest of the time is he's got to be better. But Quinshon was comparing the two that way. And I tell you, I don't know that Monken's the guy. I don't know anybody is the guy, the way they've run the Browns organization into the ground. But be that as it may, it was an interesting thing because it's quiet is a polite way of saying probably stuck up.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what that is. So yeah, I'm going to watch Miami of Ohio. That's something to do.
Good luck with Miami.
Yeah, I have fond memories of Oxford. It was not the Bill Clinton Oxford because
I've been to that Oxford actually.
Yeah,
Not the one in Ohio, the other one.
Bill Clinton was there, and
Bill Clinton.
I just love them women. Same thing everywhere he went. But yeah, it will. I'll be cheering for Miami of Ohio because hey, I just saw they're getting a really expensive new basketball facility, and Millette Hall's still there. Millette was. I actually lived diagonal in an apartment off campus when I was at Miami of Ohio after my freshman year. I was in a dorm in my freshman year, and after that, I lived diagonally from Millette Hall. And Millette's been up all that time. I mean, I'm not going to tell you how many years it's been. It's been long time. But they're getting a new facility, and that's going to be exciting for the university there. So maybe they'll get a better opportunity to recruit more players. I don't know. But so everybody, thanks a lot for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. And Bronk, thank you again, Mr. Moose, for being here. And
we'll go fuck yourself. We haven't heard from Dwayne Stat.
No, we really, and I finally have my voice back, which is kind of nice because I could not impersonate him when I had the after effects and the cold and the after effects of the virus that kind of went into my chest,
Wow.
And and it started sounding more like Harry Carey, and so it's like, oh my God, Dwayne Stat had a stroke. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, what I can say is this to Bruce Pearl: if you don't like a team at 30-0, making by the way, there has not been a team with who has more than 28 wins on a season who hasn't made the NCAA postseason. So you can just go fuck yourself, Bruce. What is he talking about down there in Auburn? What in the hell's happening in Auburn? What are they, lynching people? What's happening up there? I have no idea. I love my Dwayne Stat because I can, he's a lot like my Tommy Heinsohn. I can make him say the most ridiculous things you can imagine. And, with baseball season coming up, it's going to be, well, it's another goddamn fucking year without power. It's like,
Hey, how about that World Baseball Classic? They had Mexico versus Great Britain today, and that didn't end well for Great Britain. But not
Of
that
course
anybody
not.
British.
Yeah.
on
Why in the
team.
world would it end up properly? They're playing cricket, not baseball.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I saw that Bazana, for his country, Australia,
Yep.
won a game with a home run, and and I'm going to leave you with this statistic, and it will be Dwayne Stat who tells you that. Right now, for the Cleveland Guardians, the lowest batting average for spring training is Nolan Jones. Does that surprise you?
No.
That doesn't surprise me either. That guy, I don't know why they
Ooh.
keep bringing him back. He sucks. He's horrible. But the good news is that a few of the guys are showing, and the guy who I was really high on, Angel Martinez. My goodness, he's gained 15 pounds in muscle. And
Wow.
I was talking about him a lot last season, saying this is the guy who should be playing. He's got a lot of talent, but you could tell he was young, and he hit the weight room, and the guy's blasting balls. He hit a 420-foot home run the other day, and he's hitting extra base hits, and he's trying to force his way onto a roster, which makes no sense to me because he's more talented than the people who they keep giving the jobs to, and I don't understand it.
Oh,
But
that's the Guardian tradition of giving it to some crazy veteran and let some guy roast in AAA Columbus for too long.
It doesn't make sense. But I was glad to see that he's doing well, and a few other guys are doing well down there too. Some of the younger power hitters, Ralphie Velasquez is another guy who is doing pretty well right now. We'll see what happens with the Guardians. They need to have some power, for God's sakes. But thanks, everybody. We'll be back again on Monday. Enjoy your weekends, and I hope wherever you are, you're
Cavs.
happy and healthy. Go Cavs is right. We'll be back on the weekend to find out what happens with them. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.